Have you ever truly watched an ice cube melt? It's more than just water turning to liquid. It's a profound dance of scientific principles, often overlooked in its quiet elegance. In this video, we'll peel back the layers of this everyday phenomenon, revealing the astonishing science behind every drop, and perhaps even lulling your mind with its gentle precision. On a quiet night, when the day has finally softened, everything begins to slow. The air grows gentle, the room becomes still, and there is nothing that needs attention. Tonight's story is small and quiet. It follows a single ice cube, resting peacefully, slowly changing as warmth surrounds it. There is no rush here, only calm science, soft motion, and the comfort of gentle change. As the night holds you, the story begins. As the room grows quieter and the night settles in, attention gently narrows. The world fades into the background, and something small comes into focus. Something simple, resting patiently, waiting to be noticed. And so, the story begins at the very beginning, with water, cold, and the slow birth of stillness. On a quiet evening, when the world had finally softened its edges, a small kitchen rested in stillness. The day had finished its busy work and gently stepped aside. The air was calm, unhurried, and warm in the kindest way. Light from a single lamp drifted across the room, not bright, not dim, just enough to feel safe. In the center of the kitchen, on a smooth wooden table, sat a simple glass bowl. Inside the bowl rested something small and silent, an ice cube. It was clear and pale, holding the faint glow of the room within itself. Its surface was smooth, its edges firm and straight, as if it had been carefully shaped by patience itself. It did not move. It did not make a sound. It simply existed, resting quietly, unaware of the slow story it was about to tell. But long before the ice cube arrived in this calm kitchen, long before it felt the gentle warmth of the room around it, its journey had already begun. The story of this ice cube started as water. Not rushing water, not crashing waves, just ordinary water, soft, invisible, and everywhere. Water drifting through pipes, resting in reservoirs, waiting patiently in still places. Water that had already lived many lives before this one. Water that once fell as rain, or drifted as mist, or rested beneath clouds. Water is very good at waiting. At some point, this water found itself poured into a small plastic tray, divided into neat little squares. The tray was carried gently, with care, and placed inside a freezer. The door closed with a soft sound, sealing the water inside a quiet, cold space. The freezer did not hurry. Cold never does. Slowly, steadily, the temperature around the water began to drop. The air inside the freezer was calm and still, humming faintly like a distant lullaby. The warmth the water once knew began to drift away, little by little. Inside the water, tiny particles called molecules floated freely at first. They moved gently, sliding past one another with ease. They were relaxed, comfortable, unbothered by structure or shape. But as the cold settled in, the molecules began to slow. They didn't stop suddenly. They didn't panic. They simply began to move less. Their wandering paths shortened. Their drifting became quieter. Cold has a way of asking things to rest. As the temperature dropped further, the molecules started arranging themselves more carefully. They found places beside one another, forming a delicate pattern. Each molecule held just enough space between itself and its neighbors, locking gently into a structure that felt steady and calm. This was freezing, not an event but a process. The water did not disappear. It did not change who it was. It simply shifted into a new state, one that preferred stillness over motion. The tray waited. The freezer hummed. Time passed without counting itself. Eventually, the water was no longer water as it once had been. It had become ice. Clear, quiet, complete. The molecules were now held in a stable arrangement, like dancers pausing mid-movement, perfectly balanced. Energy had been released gently into the surrounding cold, and what remained was calm solidity. The ice cube had been born. It stayed there for a long while, resting among others like it. No souls, no awareness, just existence inside a steady cold world where nothing rushed and nothing melted. Ice is very comfortable with patience. Eventually, one evening, the freezer door opened. Warm air from the kitchen flowed in slowly, like a curious visitor. A hand reached inside and carefully lifted the tray. The ice cubes shifted slightly, knocking softly against one another, then settled again. One cube was chosen. It was placed into the glass bowl and carried into the open room. The freezer door closed, and the quiet hum faded behind it. The ice cube now rested in a different kind of stillness. The kitchen was warmer than the freezer, but not aggressively so. The warmth did not attack. It simply surrounded. It waited. The ice cube sat in the bowl, unchanged for now. Its surface remained firm. Its edges stayed sharp. It looked exactly as it always had, but something subtle had begun. Around the ice cube, invisible warmth drifted through the air. Warmth is energy, though it doesn't announce itself. It moves softly, gently, always looking for places to go. The ice cube did not resist. Heat always flows toward cold, the way calm flows toward quiet spaces. Molecules in the air brushed softly against the surface of the ice, sharing tiny amounts of energy with it. Not enough to change it yet, just enough to say hello. Inside the ice cube, the molecules felt this change as a faint invitation, a whisper of movement, a suggestion that things might loosen someday. For now, though, they stayed where they were. The room remained still. The light remained soft. The bowl rested on the table like it always had. Nothing dramatic happened, and that was exactly how the story wanted to begin. Because melting, like rest, does not rush. It begins so quietly that it almost feels like nothing at all. The ice cube waited. The warmth waited too. And time continued its gentle, patient passing, unmeasured, unbothered, and calm. The ice cube now rests where it has been placed, calm and complete. The cold that once shaped it lingers softly, while the warmth of the room waits nearby. Nothing changes all at once, but something gentle is about to begin. The ice cube continued to rest in the glass bowl, just as it had moments before. From the outside, nothing appeared different. Its shape was still neat. Its surface was still smooth. Its edges still held their quiet firmness. And yet, something gentle had begun. The warmth of the room did not arrive all at once. It never does. Warmth prefers patience. It spreads slowly, like a soft blanket laid carefully over a resting body. The air carried tiny traces of heat, drifting calmly from wall to wall, from light to shadow, until it finally reached the bowl. The glass felt the warmth first. Glass is very good at sharing what it receives. It accepted the warmth without complaint and passed it inward slowly, evenly. without urgency. The bottom of the bowl grew slightly warmer than the air above it, though no one could feel the change. It was too subtle, too kind. The ice cube rested against the glass, unaware, unmoving. Inside the ice cube, the molecules were still arranged in their careful pattern. They were close, but not crowded. Each one held its place calmly, linked by gentle forces that preferred cool stillness over motion. But warmth is persuasive. As heat flowed into the ice cube, the molecules closest to the surface felt it first, not as discomfort, not as pressure, but as a suggestion, a tiny increase in energy, a barely noticeable urge to move just a little more freely. They did not break apart. They simply shifted. The outermost molecules began to vibrate slightly more than before. Their positions softened. The rigid structure they had held so patiently began to loosen, just a touch. This was not melting yet. This was preparation. The ice cube remained silent. No sound escaped. No crack appeared. No drop formed. To the eye, it was still the same ice cube it had always been. Time passed slowly. The kitchen remained quiet. Somewhere outside, distant night sounds blended into a soft background hum, barely present, barely noticed. The lights stayed warm and low, casting gentle reflections across the bowl and the table beneath it. Inside the ice cube, warmth continued its careful work. Heat moved inward, molecule by molecule, never rushing, never forcing. Each particle received just enough energy to relax its hold, to feel less tightly bound to its neighbors. Imagine a group of people standing shoulder to shoulder, holding hands gently. Cold asks them to stay still. Warmth asks them to loosen their grip. Not all at once, just a little. The ice cube still looked solid, but inside, the idea of movement was beginning to return. At the very edges, something new appeared. A softness. The sharp corners that once felt precise and firm began to round, almost imperceptibly. The change was so small, it could be missed entirely unless one was looking very closely or simply feeling patiently. The ice cube did not resist this change. It did not cling to its shape. Ice understands that nothing needs to stay the same forever. The warmth continued to arrive. As more energy entered the ice, some of the molecules finally gained enough freedom to slip out of their fixed positions. They did not flee. They did not scatter. They simply stepped out of line and began moving past one another again. This was melting, not dramatic, not sudden, just a quiet return of motion. The first layer of ice transformed into water, forming a thin, invisible film along the surface. The water clung gently to the cube, held there by surface tension like a soft embrace. The ice cube was now both ice and water at once. It remained calm. The water layer was cold, still carrying the memory of ice. It moved slowly, carefully, staying close to the cube as if unsure whether it was allowed to leave. The bowl waited. Gravity waited too. Another moment passed, then another. The warmth of the room stayed steady, not increasing, not fading. It did not demand progress. It simply continued offering energy at the same gentle pace. Inside the ice cube, more molecules crossed the quiet threshold between solid and liquid. The rigid structure loosened further. Movement became easier. Flow returned. The water layer thickened slightly. At one edge of the cube, a tiny bead formed. Just a small curve of liquid, barely visible. It clung to the surface, round and clear, catching the light like a soft lens. The droplet did not fall. It stayed where it was, suspended by balance and patience. The ice cube remained peaceful. Each droplet was the result of countless tiny exchanges. Energy moving from warm air to cold ice, molecule by molecule, without hurry. Science unfolding gently, like a slow breath. The ice cube did not know it was melting. It only knew that stillness was slowly giving way to motion. The edges softened further, corners rounded into curves. The cube shape became less exact, more organic, more forgiving. Water continued to gather at the base of the bowl, forming a thin pool. The glass reflected it softly, doubling its presence in a quiet shimmer. The water rested there, just as the ice cube had rested before it. Nothing splashed, nothing rushed. Everything stayed calm. Inside the bowl, solid and liquid shared the same space, transitioning quietly from one form to another. The ice cube was not losing itself. It was simply changing the way it existed. This change did not require attention. It did not ask to be noticed. It happened because the world around it was warm enough to allow it. The room remained still. The light remained low. The ice cube continued its slow, patient transformation, guided by simple rules of nature that never raised their voices. And as the warmth continued to arrive, gently and without expectation, the melting carried on, softly, steadily, and peacefully, just as it was meant to. Warmth continues its quiet work, touching the ice without urgency. The first signs of change have appeared, subtle and slow, like a breath becoming deeper without being noticed. As time drifts onward, the ice begins to soften in new ways. The ice cube rested in the bowl, surrounded now by a shallow pool of clear, quiet water. It no longer looked quite as it once had. The sharpness that defined it earlier had softened into gentle curves. Its corners had rounded, and its sides had begun to bow inward slightly, as if the cube were learning a new way to hold itself. Nothing about this change felt sudden. The room remained warm in the same steady way. The air did not grow hotter. It did not press closer. It simply stayed present, offering energy without demand. Warmth, after all, does not insist. It only invites. The ice cube continued to accept that invitation. Inside, the molecules were moving more freely now. They still remembered the structure they had once held, but the bonds that kept them rigid had grown weaker. Movement returned in small, gentle motions, sliding, drifting, brushing past one another. Melting was no longer limited to the surface. The warmth had reached deeper layers of the ice. Energy flowed inward slowly, carried by the water already formed and by the glass beneath. Heat always follows simple paths, moving naturally from where is plentiful to where is scarce. The ice cube did not hurry to change. It simply allowed change to happen. Along the sides of the cube, thin streams of water began to form. They traced delicate paths downward, following gravity's quiet guidance. These streams did not rush. They moved slowly, almost lazily, pausing at tiny dips along the surface before continuing their journey. Each stream was a soft reminder that motion had returned. The water at the base of the bowl grew slightly deeper. It spread evenly, finding balance on the smooth glass. The pool remained calm, reflecting the dim light above like a faint mirror. The ice cube sat in the center, lighter now than before. It pressed less firmly against the bottom of the bowl. For a moment, it almost seemed to float, lifted gently by the water it had become. This balance felt natural. Inside the ice cube, The boundary between solid and liquid shifted gradually. Molecules crossed it without ceremony. There was no line to step over, no moment of announcement. Just a quiet transition from stillness to motion. The cube's surface became textured, no longer perfectly smooth. Tiny channels formed where water flowed repeatedly. The once uniform shape now carried subtle variations, soft dips, shallow curves, gentle slopes. Imperfection had arrived, and with it, ease. The ice cube did not resist losing its original form. It had never planned to stay exactly as it was. Its purpose was not to remain unchanged, but to move through states guided by simple laws that favored balance and calm. The warmth of the room remained steady, wrapping the bowl and its contents in quiet consistency. The air carried no urgency. Time continued its slow passing without marking itself. Somewhere beyond the kitchen, the night deepened. The outside world settled further into rest. Inside, the ice cube mirrored that same surrender. A new droplet formed at the edge. This one grew slightly larger than the ones before it. It swelled slowly, gathering water from the surface above. The droplet hung there, heavy but patient, stretching downward as gravity whispered to it. For a long moment, it stayed. Then, without sound or splash, it slipped free. The droplet fell into the pool below, merging instantly, leaving no trace of where it had been. The water accepted it completely, without disturbance. The ice cube remained calm. That single droplet carried energy with it, transferring warmth as it moved. Heat flowed smoothly through the system, always seeking balance, always equalizing differences. Melting is not destruction. It is redistribution. The ice cube was not disappearing. It was spreading itself into a new form, one molecule at a time, guided by warmth and gravity, held by simple forces that never rush. The pool of water grew slightly warmer now, though still cool. The temperature difference between ice and water narrowed. The system moved closer to equilibrium, a state where everything rests comfortably at the same temperature. This goal was never urgent. Nature is patient. The ice cube's center remains solid for now, a quiet core holding on to its crystalline arrangement. Around it, liquid water continued to flow, forming a gentle boundary between what was and what was becoming. The bowl remained still. The table remained steady. The light remained soft. Everything in the room supported this slow change without comment. As the melting continued, the ice cube's weight decreased. It rose a little higher in the water, floating more freely now. The contact with the glass lessened. The ice was being held not by the bowl, but by the water itself. This too felt natural. Floating is simply another form of balance. Inside the ice cube, the molecules at the center waited patiently. They were colder, calmer, slower. They did not know when warmth would reach them, and they did not worry about it. They understood that change would come when it was ready. The water around them continued to move gently, carrying heat inward, smoothing transitions, easing differences. The ice cube's edges grew thinner. The center softened. The distinction between inside and outside became less clear. Nothing was lost. Everything was shifting, and in this slow, steady process, the ice cube demonstrated something quiet and important. That letting go does not have to be dramatic, and change does not need force. Sometimes it happens best in stillness. The edges are no longer firm, and movement has returned. Water gathers, balance shifts, and the ice grows lighter within its surroundings. Everything moves closer to calm agreement, guided by patience rather than force. The ice cube floated gently now, lifted by the water that had once been part of it. It no longer pressed against the glass bowl in the way it once had. Instead, it rested lightly, suspended, cradled by the cool pool beneath it. Everything had slowed even more. The room felt settled, as if it had taken a deep breath and decided to stay there. The air was steady. The light was soft and unchanged. The bowl sat quietly on the table, holding this small, unfolding moment without judgment or expectation. Inside the ice cube, warmth continued its patient journey. Heat moved through the water surrounding the ice, carried by tiny, constant motions of liquid molecules. These molecules brushed against the surface of the ice, sharing energy softly, over and over, never rushing, never demanding. The boundary between solid and liquid shifted again. A thin layer of ice gave way, and more molecules slipped free from their fixed places. They joined the water around them, moving gently, spreading out, becoming part of the quiet flow. The ice cube grew smaller, not suddenly, not noticeably, just enough to be felt by the careful eye or the attentive mind. The water level in the bowl rose by a barely visible amount. The surface remained smooth and calm, undisturbed by the slow addition of new liquid. The water accepted each molecule quietly, adjusting its shape to make room. This was equilibrium slowly forming. The temperature of the water and the ice moved closer together, narrowing the difference between cold and warmth. Nature prefers balance. It moves toward it without instruction, guided by simple laws that never raise their voices. The ice cube was learning this balance from the inside out. Its once solid core had softened further. The crystalline structure that held the molecules in place began to loosen even at the center. Movement returned there too, cautious at first, then easier. Nothing resisted. The ice cube did not cling to being solid. It did not mourn the shape it once held. It simply responded to the conditions around it, changing in the way it was meant to. Another droplet formed, then another. Each one gathered slowly, grew quietly, and eventually released itself into the water below. Each release was silent, seamless, complete. The water rippled only faintly, then settled again, returning to stillness. Time passed without markers. The warmth of the room remained consistent. The air carried no sudden shifts. The glass bowl continued to share energy evenly, helping the process remain calm and smooth. Inside the bowl, everything worked together. Heat flowed, molecules moved, balance approached. The ice cube shape became more rounded, more irregular, more gentle. What had once been a precise cube now looked like a smooth stone, softened by time and water. This transformation did not weaken it. It simply made it different. The pool of water grew slightly warmer now, closer in temperature to the room. The difference between ice and air diminished. The system was nearing a quiet agreement, where no more change would be needed. The ice cube felt lighter. It floated higher, surrounded by water on all sides. The bowl no longer guided it. Gravity and buoyancy worked together to hold it in place effortlessly. Inside the remaining ice, molecules continued their gradual release. The final layers held on only briefly, not from resistance, but because warmth had not reached them fully yet. And warmth was patient. The light in the room reflected softly through the water, creating gentle patterns on the glass. These patterns shifted slowly as the ice changed shape, then settled again. Nothing demanded attention. Everything invited rest. The ice cube's presence grew quieter as it grew smaller. It took up less space, pressed less against the world, asked less of its surroundings. In return, the world held it gently. As melting continued, the water in the bowl became more uniform. Temperature differences smoothed out. Movement slowed. The system drifted closer to stillness once more. This was not an ending. It was a settling. The ice cube was nearly gone now, though not completely. A small, smooth piece remained, floating calmly, shining faintly under the soft light. It felt complete. The journey from solid to liquid had been unhurried, peaceful, and natural. No moment stood out. No single step mattered more than the others. All of it mattered together. And as the last warmth continued to flow gently inward, the scene remained calm, quiet, and whole. The ice is nearly finished now, smaller and quieter than before. Warmth and cold have almost met in the middle, and the work of change slows even further. The moment feels complete even before it ends. The ice cube was very small now. It floated quietly near the center of the bowl, a softened fragment of its earlier self, smooth and rounded, like a pebble shaped by a long, patient river. It no longer looked like a cube at all. The idea of sharp corners had faded into memory. The water around it was calm and clear, resting in a perfect, unbroken surface. Light moved slowly through the glass and water together, creating a soft glow that seemed to hold the moment in place. Nothing hurried. Inside the remaining ice, warmth had finally arrived everywhere. The temperature difference between the ice and the water had narrowed to almost nothing. The molecules that once stood still now felt free to move, though they did so gently, without urgency. The final structure of the ice loosened. One by one, the last molecules slipped away from their fixed positions. They joined the surrounding water easily, without resistance, without pause. The boundary between ice and water grew thinner until it barely existed at all. The ice did not disappear. It became. The last solid shape softened and then faded into the water, leaving behind no sharp outline, no sudden change. The transition was so smooth it felt like it had always been meant to happen this way. Now, there was only water. It filled the bowl quietly, resting in balance with the room around it. The water was cool, but not cold. Its temperature had settled into harmony with the air, no longer seeking warmth, no longer offering cold. Everything had reached equilibrium. The molecules moved gently, drifting past one another in slow, easy paths. They carried the memory of ice within them, but they were no longer held by it. Motion had returned fully, yet it was calm, steady, unremarkable. The bowl sat still. The table remained steady beneath it. The room stayed quiet, as if honoring the simplicity of what had just completed itself. There was no sound to mark the moment when the ice fully melted. No signal, no announcement. The world did not pause. It simply continued, as it always does, with softness and ease. The water rested. In this stillness, the quiet science of melting had finished its work. Energy had flowed where it was needed. Balance had been restored. Nothing had been lost, and nothing had been gained. Only change had occurred. The water now held the same molecules that once formed the ice cube. They were the same, yet different in how they moved, how they touched one another, how they shared space. Change, it seemed, was not about becoming something new. It was about becoming free to move again. The light in the room remained gentle. Shadows stayed soft. The bowl reflected the calmness around it, mirroring the steady atmosphere of the evening. The water did not ripple. It did not stir. It simply existed, complete and at rest. Outside, the night continued to deepen. Sounds grew quieter. The world beyond the kitchen slowed further, settling into its own rhythm of rest. Inside, the bowl of water held a quiet story that no longer needed to unfold. Everything that needed to happen had happened. The science had finished speaking. All that remained was stillness. This stillness was not empty. It was full of balance, full of quiet motion, full of calm. The water waited without waiting for anything. It had nowhere else to go and nothing else to become, at least for now. And in that simple completeness, there was comfort. The kind of comfort that comes from knowing that change can be gentle, that processes can be slow, and that endings can feel like rest rather than loss. The bowl sat quietly, holding the water the way the room held the bowl, and the way the night held the room. Everything was connected. Everything was calm. The last traces of ice have gently slipped away. What remains is still, settled, and whole. No longer becoming, just being, and now the story moves into rest. The bowl of water rested quietly on the table, just as it had before the ice ever arrived. Nothing about the room suggested that anything remarkable had taken place. The light was the same. The air was the same. The evening continued in its gentle, unhurried way. And yet, something had completed itself. The water in the bowl was still, its surface smooth and level, holding the quiet reflections of the room above it. Inside, the molecules moved softly, gliding past one another in slow, easy paths. They carried no urgency. They had reached a comfortable balance with the warmth of the air and the glass around them. This was rest, not the absence of motion, but the absence of need. The science that guided the ice cube's journey had done its work without noise or effort. Energy had flowed where it was invited. Differences had softened. Extremes had eased into calm agreement. Nothing had been forced. Nothing had been rushed. The room seemed to understand this. The table felt steady and grounded beneath the bowl. The glass held the water gently, without gripping or tension. Even the air felt settled, as if it had found a comfortable place to stay. Time passed, but it no longer felt important to notice. The water did not cool further. It did not warm further. It remained as it was, content in its present state. The molecules continued their quiet movement, touching, separating, and touching again in a slow, endless rhythm. This movement was not something to watch. It was something to feel. The same kind of movement that lives in breathing, in the rise and fall of the chest, in the gentle pulse of rest. Nothing dramatic, nothing demanding attention, just life continuing quietly. The story of the ice cube had never been about the ice itself. It had been about patience, about how change can happen without struggle, about how stillness and motion are not opposites, but partners taking turns. The water in the bowl now held all of that. It was the same matter that once stood firm and solid. It was simply expressing itself differently, responding to the world around it in the way nature always does, with calm logic and gentle care. The night outside had deepened further. Sounds had faded into the distance. The world beyond the room had slowed, settling into its own quiet rhythm. Inside, nothing needed to happen. The bowl did not need to be moved. The water did not need to be touched. The moment did not need to be remembered. It was enough that it had been. The science had spoken softly, then stepped aside. What remained was ease, a feeling that everything was allowed to be as it was, without improvement, without change, without effort. The water rested, the room rested, the night rested, and somewhere in that shared stillness, it became easy to rest too. Breathing slowed, thoughts softened, attention drifted gently, like warmth moving through a quiet room. Nothing needed to be held tightly anymore. The ice cube had shown that even the most solid things can let go peacefully, and that becoming something else does not mean losing what you were. It simply means finding a new way to exist. The bowl of water remained, calm and complete, reflecting the soft light one last time before the evening grew even quieter. And as the final traces of the story settled like a gentle hush, the night wrapped everything in its steady, patient presence. Nothing more was needed. Everything was already enough. The world continued, slow and kind, carrying all things toward rest, including you. The water is calm, the room is quiet, and the night holds everything gently. There is nothing left to follow, nothing left to change. Only rest remains. Good night. And now, the story settles into stillness. The ice has melted. The water rests. Everything has found its balance. Nothing more is needed. Let her breath slow. Let your thoughts drift away. And allow sleep to arrive gently in its own time. Good night. Rest softly.